Well, hello there again, friends. Today is 7/16/2022, and today is the Odin Project vlog day 133. And this video I decided to hit a home run. I was in the flow state for several different sessions on different days, so I went ahead and decided to finish up the complete project. So last video we stopped on number 3 here. I went ahead and refactored the form. Well, not refactored the form, but well, a little bit. But I added the styling, all the CSS are associated to it. I added the information to the page. I added more CSS, and I didn't do the optional. And then that's be it. So I'm excited to show you guys the finished product today. By no means is this bug free. I did my best. I like it. I like the way it turned out. All the bugs that I have found, I have rectified. So if I find any more in this video, I'll take care of them. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next thing. So just a fair warning, I got a lot to cover today, so I might talk fast. I might skip a few things on accident. I'm trying to keep this video from going too long, but it'll probably be on the longer side, just to let you know. And thanks for all the new subscribers that have come here and all my veterans and OG people. Thanks for coming and checking this out. And so with that said, let's get started. So I'm going to start in the index here, HTML file. So the only thing I added here, just to get things started, is I added a div class called display div, and then I added a div class display Giphy, because I decided to integrate a Giphy fetch along with the video, or with the fetch from Open Weather that we already covered in the last video. and then I embedded an image tag inside the div tag with a source of blank. Just kind of the similar behavior we had in the previous exercise for Giphy. And that's where I'm going to store my Giphy, is inside the image tag that's embedded in the div. And so with that said, I will say that I did take the required off the state, because one of the bugs I found was you can't require a state if you want somebody to search something, a city in another country. So I took the required off of there and changed the error handling to say, we'll go through it in the JavaScript, but basically to say, hey, you need to enter a city and a country to continue. But we don't error, and we don't hold them back if they don't enter a state. I know that's kind of introducing a bug, so to speak, because if you don't put the state in the US, it'll give you adverse results. But that's either near here nor there. It's just kind of the way it is. So I will briefly go through the CSS. However, I won't spend a ton of time on it, because it's easier to explain in the browser at the end. So if I have more time at the end, I'll cover it. So we have it. I'll just cover a few things I know that don't show up in the console. Is the import tag. So I have an import tag here that downloads the font from Google that I'm going to use. I wanted to select a cool font, an interesting font that I liked, other than the normal stuff. So body here, I have background image URL. This is something I downloaded off of Unsplash. So stored that in a folder called assets that I created right here. Has just the background image in it. I didn't know if I'd put anything else in it, but I didn't. So font family is, now this is targeting the API, Google API download that I got for the import. So it's going to show that edu NSW Act Foundation. Font weight 900. Display, it's flexbox. The whole body is a flexbox, that is. It's spaced evenly for the body, and line items is center. And then the rest of this will show up nicely in DevTools. So I'm going to skip this for now and come back to it. Okay, so here's the script. I pretty much, for the most part, have either refactored or at least touched every single module since the last video. So essentially, I'm just going to go through the entire code base here. I know some of it might be duplicate, but if I can remember in my mind what I covered last time, if I didn't touch it, I'll just skip it. So on Dominip, that none of this has changed except right here, this highlighted part. I added an event listener for DOM content loaded, and it runs a function, a local function called hide broken image, and that's exactly what it's. Sorry, I forgot to mute my phone. Just a second here, guys. Pardon me about that. Usually I'm good about that here lately, but okay. So have a hide broken image. That's kind of what it sounds like. So we're creating a variable called first load image, and that's taking on and that's querying the image, which is what we seen over here in the index tag here, the only image tag we have, and then first load image dot style dot display is none. And you're probably wondering off the bat, kind of questioning why I would do that. So to give you a sneak peek, in the weather app here, so there's a lot of cool stuff I've done here. There is a section right here that this loads the Giphy, basically right where my mouse is circling, if you can see it. Well, when I load the page for the first time without that code, because we've not ran a search yet, naturally there is a broken image here because that's where the Giphy goes. But since there hasn't been a query done and there hasn't been a fetch against the Giphy API, there's nothing there to show. So through a little bit of Googling and Kung Fu, I come up with this DOM content loader, which basically means that when the page is loaded, I want to change the display of that that image tag to none. So basically hides it. So that's why you don't see it here. It's there. I mean, if I go to Dev Tools, you'll see it's right there. Grid container, flex item, display Giphy div. And the image is inside that, as we already went over in the HTML. So there's that. And then running the async function to fetch current forecast from user on input form. Sorry, my Tourette's is active. None of this has changed. Here's where I changed my check. So all I did here is I just removed the search state so that it's not a requirement. Again, it kind of introduced a different bug, but like I said, I'm not striving for perfection here. I did meet all the goals of the project to understanding async and await and stuff like that. Async, excuse me. So here's my console logs, and that hasn't changed. Run fetch and wait for response JSON. This hasn't changed either. Didn't change the construct object either. Oh yeah, I did. I took the descriptor out because there was a description line in there in the last video, and I took it out because I'm not using it. I didn't find any use for it at the end of my when I was done with my project, so I just deleted it. Everything else is used. And when I mean that, I mean I didn't end up displaying it to the screen, so it didn't really need to be there. Just extra code, extra processing. And then the console log is still there. And then these are the two new calls, function calls. So I have one for display weather and get Giphy. And we'll go through those one at a time here. Display weather is going to pass through the current weather, which is the construct object we made above, is which we'll be displaying the screen, and we'll do that via the display weather. So if I come down here, I'm going to follow that call. We're going to come down here to display weather. Here's the function display cleanse JSON to DOM. So this creates a variable called display div that targets that display div that I told you and showed you in the HTML. And then it calls another function inside of this one for clearing the DOM of any elements maybe present from a previous search. So that's one of the bugs I had found, that once you run once you run a search, it shows up on the DOM, and then you need to clear it, otherwise it will keep overwriting and spilling over and having overflow issues inside the div. So the clear DOM, if I follow that down, goes down here, and it's nothing we haven't seen before. Just creates a node list via query selector all for all p tags, because I know I'm jumping ahead of myself, but the create elements are all p tags, as you'll see in a minute here. So And then inside I have an if that that loops over, and a loop inside that loops over the entire node list. So if the node list is not null, meaning there are at least one p tag, we're gonna inside this node list, I'm going to loop through each one and do a dot remove method to remove it from the DOM. So that's that. Going back up here to pardon me. Okay, so we're right here to create the elements in the DOM. Here's what I was just saying about the p tags. So here's a whole lot of repetition, but we'll go through a couple here. So you have a city, const city created that creates an element, a p tag element called city. We're going to add text content. We've seen this before. Current weather.place is the attribute that adds the place key from above here. So we have place, and then this whole thing would be the key, and so that key is going to be supplied to text content as city, and then we're going to append the child city to display div, which is over here in the HTML, the display div, the main one. And we're going to do that again for status, and that's going to be for main weather. So place is your, if I didn't explain that right, place is your, well, I guess I did, city. So that's your city you're querying. Next one is for main weather, which is like your cloudy, rain, sun, that sort of thing. And then the next one is city temp, and that's your degrees. And then the next one is city humidity, which calculates your humidity. And then of course on the degrees, I put the put the value plus space, and then the word degrees and humidity and wind here, so it looked nice on the DOM on the page, and you'll see that in action when I display this at the end. And then I have another one for the wind, city wind, and that's the display. So that ends that part, the display weather. And then we call get Giphy, which supplies it a parameter of current weather.main weather. And so, as I just said, the main weather is going to be, we're going to shove it in like the cloudy, the rain, the sun, that sort of thing. That's what's contained in main weather, as we've talked about here and also in the previous video. So we come down here to main weather. I have a try catch here. Async function get Giphy passing in that main weather. When you pass in the parameter here, it will give you an error if you try to do current weather dot main weather or current data dot main weather. That is, you can't add. It gives you an error because it just doesn't accept. It doesn't accept periods as a parameter. But you can pass it as a property when you're calling it. So it does carry through though. So if you hover over, see main weather says parameter main weather any. So it does understand the current, that it's coming from current weather. So anyway, here's the try catch. So we're going to try inside of here, and what we're going to try for Giphy is we're going to kind of like before-ish in the Giphy project. We're going to constant image equals that selector of the image that we had here in the HTML, and I shouldn't have did that. Done that. Anyway, I don't care about the API keys at this point, so I'm not gonna blur it out. So it'll be what it'll be. So we have let keyword equals main. Goodness gracious, sorry guys. Struggle bus here. Okay. Alright. So we have, I'm just making sure it didn't say, okay, didn't change anything. So we have here we go. Main weather equals keyword. That's just so we can work with it. I turned the main weather into keyword just for this inside this. So basically, keyword is a local variable to the async function. And if the keyword is clear, this is a bug I found. If the keyword is clear, meaning the weather's clear in that city, the Giphy won't process clear. It doesn't understand it as sky or weather or anything like that, so it gives you some really bizarre results, as Giphy always does. So I I told it to say that I want it to be clear sky in this string text. So the keyword will be clear sky. Excuse me. And then I have a constant response equals await fetch, and this is nothing new. Goes out to Giphy and hits the translate endpoint as we've talked about in previous video. And then there's the key, and then we're doing the ampersand s equals is the documentation for search. And then we're going to search by keyword that we just described, and the mode is cores. So we're going to search by the keyword. So basically, if the keyword is not clear, we're just going to have it move on and not manipulate the keyword into clear sky, obviously, because it's not clear. Like that, this would be example like rain or sun. So we can use those, and Giphy seems to do, in my testing, seems to do a pretty good job of displaying a not so bizarro image. So Giphy response, we're going to wait for that JSON to come, that response to come back. We're going to convert it to JSON, console log that out for diagnostic purposes. And then I have img.style.display equals a blank string. And this is because if you remember above when we discussed earlier about hiding that image, this line here will unhide it because it'll turn display from none to empty. And it's a little trick I learned on Google through Stack Overflow a long time ago, quite a few projects ago, and I've used it ever since. I like that. It's just a neat little trick to display and hide something. So here we are basically showing it, and then image.source, just like before, we got a Giphy response.data.images.original.url will get you to the correct URL. I won't go over that again because if you need to understand that, please go back and watch my video on Giphy on the API fetch project for understanding of how that comes about. And then I also have a catch error, and we're going to console log something's went wrong when trying to fetch the Giphy error. And that's the async for Giphy. And then to round it out, I know it kind of went a little confusing here, but then we got the catch for the try catch for the main fetch current weather async function, and it console.log something's went wrong with fetching the current weather data error, and display the error. And then we're gonna also, I just found this to be kind of not user friendly, so just like this. So since this is a common catch, it could be that the user might run into more so than the Giphy. I went ahead and added an alert to the screen saying, and I'll show you guys how this works, because I actually have a incorrect city that doesn't fetch in the API to open weather. So if that happens, we're going to alert something's went wrong with fetching the current weather data. And then we have a clear search. This is the clear search button. I think we went over this in the last video, but I added to it. So I added a constant image, query selector image again. This is locally, so I can do that. I don't know if it's actually best practice, but I went ahead and declared it here. This is a local variable since it's inside of a function. So this image, and then so I'm basically selecting it here and then changing its display to none. And this does the opposite of the last one. So this one will clear the display, or change the display, I'm sorry, to none. So what it sounds like, it's going to hide the image, and that nasty broken image or any image that may be present will be gone once you hit the clear search button. And then it's going to call the clear DOM, which comes down here and runs this function clear DOM that we've already went over. That loops over all the node lists and removes them one by one, if there are any. And that is it. I don't think let's see here, did I skip anything on accident? I don't think so. Okay. So that is that. Pull this over here. We're going to go out here. So the background is that background I downloaded from Unsplash. It's pretty cool here. Remember, you can use Unsplash because this is Unsplash is a what am I trying to say? It's open source, and you don't need to give. You should give credit, but it's uncopyrighted material. Let's put it that way. So that's my background there. Oh yeah, that's going to show you the styling. So, excuse me. So we have the background image here that I just showed you. Font family, Cut already went over that. Font weight 900, so bold. It's a flex, so the whole body is a flex box. Display justify content space evenly, and that's so that we can space all of these evenly between each other. And it will also flex nicely when I resize. And line item center, just like it sounds. We go down here to form. Turn the grid on. So the form is a grid itself, and so it's center justify content, line item center, and the margin top 50 pixels, meaning there's 50 pixels between the top here and the edge of the display screen, and or viewport, shall I say? And it's a herited body. Obviously the font weight and font family. And then inside here are all your labels and your inputs for the form, and those all are margin 5 pixels, meaning there's a little bit of space in between so that they're not all jammed up inside of each other or butted up against each other. And it's also inheriting. And that's the same all the way through for form. So I'll turn that off. And then we have our display div here that's highlighted. And it's a grid item as well. So if I turn on the grid there, you'll see what just happened. Oh, I made it a grid so it would center correctly. It actually doesn't have anything in it right now. It will I go ahead and turn that on. This is the display for the weather, so it actually will turn on and show you stuff here in a bit. So it's a line item center. Background color white, opacity 0.6, so that's the ability to see through it a little bit. Height 212 by 205. You'll see that as a theme. That's just something I went with. I like the looks of it, at least on my monitor, my pixels. I got a high resolution monitor, so it may look different if you use these values on yours. But 212 by 205 seems to be pretty good, and margin top is 50 pixels as well to match the other one. And then we have display Giphy. It's also a grid. Again, the grid's just for the display purposes to get it to align. This actually doesn't have anything in it except the image itself, so it's not actually utilizing the grid. Guess I go through and clean up my CSS a little bit here, but so we got some things being filtered out, but it's a line item centers, and that's why I did display grid, so I could align it. Opacity is 0.6 again, even though I probably don't need that at this point. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm on display div and display Giphy share the same attributes outside of one item. The display, or a couple items. The display Giphy has transparent background, which that's this right here. That's why you can't see it. And 212 and 205 for the width. Those are filtered out because they're the same. So sorry about the little confusion there. And that's it. So I have the grid currently on for display div. So if we do a search here, okay. So there's the display grid there for you there, and there's the clouds. So that's coming off the Giphy. We search again. Going to get different clouds. So it's keying off the cloud input there. So if we take Illinois out, you'll see I won't get a error. And also, let's see, so if I take this out, you'll see we'll get the prompt city and country are required. Please try again. And then so if I do Panama City, or no, it's Florida. I'm going to give you an proper city. Florida Keys. I think it was Florida Keys. Yep. Something has went wrong with fetching the current weather data. So this is hitting that catch on the on the async fetchy for or fetchy. It's hard to always do that when you talk about Giphy fetchy, whatever. That comes on the fetch going out to the open weather to get the API. There is no Florida keys, so it's prompting us through that catch. And that is it. So if we show you a different see San Diego, let's see what it's gonna give us. Let's see. All right, so that gives us clouds. So a lot of clouds here. I was trying to get something to show you a little bit different. Of course, everything changes all the time. So yeah, as far as weather, but Dallas has got to be sun, right? Clear, perfect. So this is going to show you that. So this is filtering on that clear, but in the console, didn't show you that, but it's changing it to, per our code, the clear and adding the sky on the end because of that if statement we had. So clear, I don't know why it's, see, Giphy sometimes gives you weird results. Okay, there you go. So there's a clear even though there's clouds in it, but yeah, it's Giphy's just kind of weird. It gives you random results. There's actually a weirdness factor that I turned to 0, and where is that? I didn't showcase that, but it's actually down on this one down here. So if you do at weirdness equals 0, weirdness is in the documentation is 0 to 10. It's supposed to filter out more bizarre hits that coming in. 0 is supposed to be the most tightest. 10 would be no filter and any weird crap can come in. So even on weirdness 0, so you use ampersand weirdness equals 0, that will supposedly tighten things up, even though I do get kind of strange results here and there. So yeah, so and then if you hit clear, it will clear everything out and allow you to move on. And you notice the clear button also clears the DOM here, and it clears and hides. So it clears the Giphy image and it hides that image. It didn't get rid of it; it's still there. It just hides it via the display. So yeah, so that's it. Thanks for coming along the journey with me today. I know this one went a little longer. Yeah, we're at 27 minutes. Figured it would, but I am completely done with this now. So I'm going to move on to the next section. So that will wrap up the weather app. So, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. And with all that said, till next time, see ya.